What if I told you that talking about your hobbies could be as fun as actually doing them? Imagine transforming a simple chat about your weekend painting session into a rich, descriptive conversation that captures everyone's attention. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's what we're here for today. Welcome to Intermediate Podcast Series again, where we dive deep into the world of hobbies and how you can talk about them in a way that's not only interesting, but also truly engaging. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Sebastian. And we're going to show you how you can turn any conversation about your hobbies into something more detailed, more descriptive, and way more interesting. Whether it's knitting, photography, hiking, or even cooking, we're going to help you bring your passions to life with language. So stick with us until the end, because we'll also throw in a little grammar lesson and teach you 5 new vocabulary words that'll boost your conversations.
Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Let's jump in.
So, Sophia, when we say the word hobby, what comes to mind for most people? Probably something like, I like reading, or I enjoy traveling, right? But here's the thing, hobbies are so much more than that. They're personal, they're expressive, and most importantly, they're unique to each of us.
Exactly. And while we all know what hobbies are, the key to talking about them is to go beyond the basics. Saying, I like reading, doesn't really spark a great conversation, does it? But saying, I'm currently reading this amazing historical fiction novel set in 17th century France, and it's really made me think about how different life was back then. Now that is the kind of detail that gets people interested.
Right. It's all about expanding on the details. The more specific you are, the more people can connect with what you're saying. It's like painting a picture with your words.
Exactly. And today we're going to help you do just that. Whether your hobby is something artistic like painting, something active like hiking, or even something more niche like birdwatching. So Sebastiani, what's one of your hobbies?
Well, I love photography, but instead of just saying, I love photography, I like to add details that show my passion. I might say something like, I spend my weekends shooting in natural light, trying to capture the subtle changes in color at sunrise and sunset. It's a hobby, sure, but it's also an experience.
Yes, and for anyone listening right now, think about your own hobbies. How can you add more detail? How can you make your hobbies sound as exciting as they feel to you? So, let's get into the good stuff, descriptive language. One of the easiest ways to make your hobbies sound more interesting is by using adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns, and they can bring your hobby to life. Instead of saying, I like painting, you can say, I love experimenting with bold, vibrant colors on a large canvas.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use more sensory language, words that appeal to the 5 senses. If you're talking about cooking, for example, don't just say, I made dinner. Instead, you can say something like, I made a spicy, aromatic curry that filled the whole house with the warm scent of cumin and turmeric. Now people can feel and smell what you're talking about.
That's such a great point. Descriptive language makes all the difference. Whether it's the smell of fresh paint, the feel of soft yarn, or the sound of your hiking boots crunching through gravel, details make your hobby come alive for the listener. And this brings us to today's grammar lesson.
Okay, grammar time. I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. Today, we're going to focus on adjectives and adverbs, 2 types of words that will help you describe your hobbies in a more interesting way.
Let's start with adjectives. These are words that describe nouns, people, places, or things. So if you're talking about painting, the word colourful would be an adjective because it describes the noun painting.
Right. Now, let's move on to adverbs. These are words that describe verbs. They tell us how something is done. For example, if you say, I photograph landscapes carefully, the word carefully is an adverb because it describes how you photograph.
So, the next time you talk about your hobbies, try to add more adjectives and adverbs. Instead of saying, I bake, say, I bake delicious soft cookies that melt in your mouth. You see how much more engaging that is?
It's all about painting a picture with your words. And that brings us to our next point, expanding on basic sentences. Don't just say, I go hiking. Say, I love hiking along the rugged mountain trails where the air is crisp and the view from the top is breathtaking. By expanding your sentences, you're giving your listener a complete experience.
All right, let's boost our vocabulary with 5 new words that you can use to talk about your hobbies in a more detailed and sophisticated way.
First up is the word immersive. It means deeply engaging or absorbing. You could say, painting is such an immersive experience for me because I lose track of time when I'm working on a new piece.
Great one. The second word is meticulous. This means paying great attention to detail. You could say, I'm meticulous when it comes to crafting handmade jewelry. Every bead is placed with care.
Next, we have serene. It describes something calm or peaceful. For example, I find birdwatching to be a serene hobby. Sitting quietly in nature helps me relax.
Another great word is cathartic, which means emotionally cleansing or releasing tension. You could say, writing in my journal is a cathartic experience for me. It helps me process my thoughts and emotions.
And finally, the word rejuvenating. It means restoring energy or vitality. You might say, I find gardening to be a rejuvenating hobby because it helps me feel refreshed and connected to nature.
Now that we've covered descriptive language, grammar, and vocabulary, let's put it all together. I'll start by sharing how I talk about one of my hobbies.
Go for it, Sophia.
I love knitting, but instead of just saying, I knit, I might say, knitting is a calming and creative outlet for me. I love working with soft, colourful yarns, and I find the repetitive motion of the needles to be incredibly soothing. Right now, I'm working on a cozy blanket for winter, and I'm using a vibrant mix of reds and oranges to give it a warm, inviting feel.
That sounds so peaceful. And see how you used adjectives like calming, soft, and vibrant? That's what makes the description come alive. I'll give it a try with photography. Instead of saying, I like taking photos, I might say, I love capturing moments with my camera, especially when the natural light is just right. My favorite time to shoot is during the golden hour, when the sun casts a soft, warm glow over everything, creating a magical, almost dreamlike quality.
That was great. You can really feel your passion for photography coming through. Listeners, think about how you can describe your hobbies in this way. Focus on the details, use descriptive language, and don't be afraid to express how your hobby makes you feel.
All right, before we wrap up, we want to encourage you to keep exploring your hobbies, and more importantly, keep talking about them in detail. Your hobbies are a reflection of who you are, and sharing them with others is a great way to connect and spark interesting conversations.
Absolutely. And remember, it's all about going beyond the surface. Don't just say, I like cooking. Say, I love experimenting with new recipes, especially dishes that blend bold, spicy flavors with fresh, local ingredients. By adding detail, you'll engage your listener and make your hobby sound as exciting as it feels to you.
So the next time someone asks you about your weekend, don't just say, I went hiking. Tell them about the crisp air, the challenging trails, and the incredible view from the top of the mountain. The more details you give, the more your passion shines through.
We've covered a lot today. How to use descriptive language, adjectives and adverbs, 5 new vocabulary words, and tips on expanding your sentences. We hope you're feeling inspired to talk about your hobbies in a whole new way.
And if you want to keep improving your English, make sure to practice using those new vocabulary words and grammar tips in your daily conversations. The more you practice, the easier it'll get to talk about your hobbies with confidence and detail.
Thanks for joining us today on The Art of Hobbies. We'll be back next time with even more tips and insights to help you expand your English skills.
And remember, every conversation about your hobbies is an opportunity to share your passion and connect with others. So, keep practicing, stay curious, and
keep expanding your language skills. See you soon. Bye.